Hi guys, my name is Nick Broughton and I am a Random Fish. Hit that subscribe button and let's all be Random Fishes together. And this is a Random Fish remake. Now, if you can't already tell from, the shirt and the amount of times I've reviewed this stuff and, hell, a lot of things about me, I am a Star Wars fan and have been for a very, very long time. It all goes back many years. When I first watched the original trilogy, I got so addicted, I got so suckered into the world that it really just inspired me, and it inspired me to look beyond these things and to look beyond the weirdness of a black and white vision of the world, and to see things purely in a grey perspective, and to not see things as either good or bad, but to look at them as both combined. And that's where a lot of this stuff comes from, because the prequels then came out, and they were anything if not everyone's vision of bad. But there was still good in them, and there always will be. And frankly, Episode 1 introduced me to the double-bladed lightsaber. Despite the fact that Jedi Academy had apparently done this years before, I just never played it. Episode 2 introduced the curved hilted lightsaber for Count Dooku, as well as Yoda coming in and actually being able to wield a lightsaber and jump around like a maniac. Episode 3 gave us an incredibly dark version of Anakin Skywalker before he became Darth Vader, to see him truly turn from good to evil using the most noble of causes, being manipulated by the worst person in the entire galaxy. That's the prequels in a nutshell for me. But doesn't mean things can't be improved upon. And it also doesn't mean that you can't always look at things from a different point of view. So with that in mind, I sent out a Twitter poll not that long ago asking about which one would deserve a Random Fish remake. Rise of Skywalker or Phantom Menace? Phantom Menace got the most reviews and got the most requests. Honestly, I was happy with either. Frankly, trying to find a change in Rise of Skywalker was going to be difficult because, well, frankly, I'd want to remake the whole thing and delete everything about that film. For multiple reasons, really, but, outside of that, not a whole lot else. But Phantom Menace was going to be tricky because, honestly, there's a lot of stuff that we want to change about that. I myself have rewritten the prequel trilogy to something that, I don't know, just felt a bit more unique about it, and a bit more tied in, and a bit more linked story-wise. But, to be honest, I am a fan, and it is just a fan fiction. Like this is kind of just a fan fiction for me. So, I wondered what could be a change that could impact the most in Star Wars, yet could almost be something that could be easily forgotten. So, with that in mind, I looked up something very interesting. And I remembered something pretty interesting about Phantom Menace that I wanted to rectify. So today, people, I'm going to be talking about a remake of Phantom Menace with Padme Amidala at age 9. The same as Anakin Skywalker. Now, before anyone says anything, I did this for a very good reason. The rest of the film will play out very similar, almost identical to how the film actually does kick off, with the introduction of Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan on board the Trade Federation ship, with Newt Gunray being able to do the things that he does, with the Viceroy, and all these things that sort of just keep popping up and doing what they do. But the main difference is the conversation he has with Queen Amidala. Now, she is still called Queen Amidala, but it's not Padme. Completely different character. Now, in Phantom Menace, it is revealed that, you have Padme and you have her bodyguard pretending to be the Queen, so as to divert fire and, give your life in service of your Emperor, or Queen in this case. But in this version, it's a little bit different. The Queen that we see on the screen talking to the Viceroy is actually the Queen Amidala, an actual woman in this. In this film, Amidala is a queen, and there's also a King Amidala. And then there's Padme Amidala, who is Princess Amidala. Now, I know that in the actual films it's an elective process and all that sort of thing, but I kind of like this idea of her being an elected official, but with Padme sort of still being her child and running around inside the palace as well and dealing with all that stuff, and that's fine. But then here's the interesting bit. Let's think about it like this. After this happens and the Jedi fight the droids, don't fight the droid cars, get on the ship, fly down, the Jar Jar Binks scene, and all that stuff with Qui-Gon and the life debt, leaving that alone. Yes, I'm leaving Jar Jar Binks alone. Suck it. Okay? Yes, Jar Jar Binks is a problem in the prequels. He's not. He's a comedy piece thrown in there for the kids. It is essentially the Ewoks, just scalier with longer ears and a slightly more annoying voice. Slightly. Let's face it. And after the Jar Jar stuff is done, they all end up going to the palace. Now, big difference coming up. The Queen Amidala is being escorted with her husband out of the palace by droids. Padme, their daughter, who's 9, again, just want to state this, is hiding behind a pillar. Now, she is not being seen by the droids. No one has seen her. No one has fired on her. She is completely unnoticeable. Now, her mother has put her there for a very specific reason so that she doesn't get killed by the droids, because she knows that that's why the droids are there. That's why Viceroy sent them, is to take them out so that he can take over the planet on a more permanent basis. That's how that goes down. Now, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan turn up and they free not the Queen Amidala, but Panaka, her guard. Now, her guard, who has at this point been under fire from the droids, they jump in, their lightsabers activate, they all kick all kinds of ass, and they turn around to Panaka and go, "What's going on? Where's the royal family? Everything seems to be going to hell. What's going on?" Panaka stands up and just says, "Look, the Queen has been taken by the droids. Her daughter is still inside the palace. I don't know where she is. I'm trying to find her and get her to safety. Help." Qui-Gon goes, "Great, we're going to go in there and we're going to find her." So, we have Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Panaka, and Jar Jar. All 4 of them. 3 of them. I can't count today. Anyway, they all go in there, and they all go into the palace, and they all track down Padme. She eventually reveals herself because she trusts Panaka. The 2 of them have a nice little reunion. It's an "Oh, it's nice to see you. It's nice to see you too. Yay. Okay, cool, great, let's go." And she's immediately good, and she's on good terms with the 2 Jedi. She immediately likes them. She immediately knows she can trust them. And more specifically, I want to lay this out here, she immediately trusts Qui-Gon emphatically. There is nothing about him that is untrustworthy to her. I want to make this point very clear. She trusts him completely, without a slight indifference. That's great. So, they go off, and they go off to try and find her parents, because Padme goes, "I can't leave this planet without my mum, or my dad. It's not happening." They go off to try and find her. We then get to the point where, honestly, I think this would be kind of a nice little, almost an interesting little parallel to New Hope, where, you know, when you see Vader holding up that guard, sort of doing the whole, you know, "What have you done with those plans?" breaks his neck, makes him fall to the ground, yells at them to go and find all the plans and whatnot. I almost like this idea of the Queen Amidala standing before a Viceroy hologram, and him saying, you know, "We have won, we've taken the palace, victory is ours." She goes, "You will never win." And they go, "Oh, really? Interesting. Droids, fire." And you then get a pan shot away from it, but then you hear blaster fire, and it's sadly sort of implied that the Queen is dead. And it is true, because we see Padme, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan and Panaka all witness this. Padme gets upset. Qui-Gon tells her to calm down, that it will be okay, that there is no way in hell that this was ever going to happen, blah, 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 it's fine. They go off. They then get on the ship and get the hell out of Dodge. Getting away from the blockade, fine, keeping that, move on. Tatooine, next big change. They arrive on Tatooine, Qui-Gon, Padme and Jar Jar all leave and go into town like they do in the original film. Except in this one, Padme is more interested in Qui-Gon's opinion and infinitely more interested in his opinion and wants to agree with him on everything. She 100% sort of sees him as her guardian now because he has protected her from the droid attack more than Panaka has. So with that kind of belief system, she kind of just wants to be around Qui-Gon all the time. They go into town. Jar Jar has his little run-in with the stupid Sebulba. And of course, they meet Watto and Anakin. Watto and Qui-Gon go off and do their business talk. Anakin and Padme are the same age. Here's where things get interesting. Anakin, in the original, just turns around to her and goes, "Are you an angel?" "An angel. I heard the deep space pilots talk about them. They're the most beautiful creatures in the universe. Oh my god, I am so good at the romantic speaking." Not Jake Lloyd's fault, writer's fault. Do not blame him. Although I'm fairly sure you already have, let's face it. But, let's move on. Young Anakin is eager to impress young Padme. He wants to show her everything he can do. He wants to show her his mechanical genius. He wants to do this, he wants to do that. He shows her stuff around Watto's shop. He's immediately not smitten, but he's immediately threatened by this young person who's coming to the place who has such presence that he wants to sort of show her what he can do, like sort of as a one-upping kind of mentality that sort of plays into Anakin's arrogance a little bit, which I think would be very cool for later on in the films if you keep things up with the other two films, obviously, like you do. We then get something even more interesting. We get obviously the Watto and Qui-Gon exchange about the fact that, you can't use Republic credits, blah 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 blah, do this, do that, blah blah blah. Anakin then steps in and helps Jar Jar with Sebulba. Does the whole, go away, don't hurt him, he's, you're stupid, you're Panther Voodoo, ho 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 ho, as it were. But then the sandstorm hits and Anakin invites them back to his house. There they meet Shmi, they do the whole conversation about pod racing. Padme meets 3PO, obviously with Anakin sort of saying, "Look at what I can do, look at this, I can make robots, and I've done really well with it, and I can do this. Oh my god, I am amazing." Padme is very quick to jump on board with Qui-Gon in this version, obviously this being her going, he's protected me, I trust him, I think what he's saying is right, blah blah blah, it's fine. The reason for this being is that Padme in that one was incredibly headstrong and wanted, and very much was the voice of, almost trying to be a voice of reason to Qui-Gon, being like, "Are you sure you want to do this, trusting something to a boy that we hardly know?" Also trying to keep up the appearances, "I'm not the Queen would not approve." Which is fair enough. But in this version, like I said, she trusts Qui-Gon completely. She therefore wants to get in on this. That's fine. Upon this, we then get something even more interesting. The pod race will still happen, but in this version, I don't want it to be everyone coming out to congratulate Anakin. I want his mother to come out first, put him out, hug him, say, "You're amazing, blah blah blah, you're now free, it's all wonderful." Puts him down on the ground. I then want him to turn to Padme, and I want Padme to give him a kiss on the cheek as a well done gesture. And then she walks back to Qui-Gon and stands next to him. I want that to be a thing for later on. Okay? So, that happens. Qui-Gon then goes to Watto and says, "A deal's a deal. The boy is now free to go with me. Haha, you suck. Bye-bye." The mother then goes, "Yeah, it sucks that you're leaving, but you are leaving to become a Jedi. I'm fine with this. Go." Kid leaves with the young Padme, with the Jar Jar, with the Qui-Gon. That's fine. Maul attack, same as before. The whole duck thing. He ducks, the fight, blah blah blah. The three of them run back to the ship. Panaka starts firing on some stuff. Qui-Gon jumps into the ship and everything else. Fly off. They then get to Coruscant. Final change. Well, next big change. Palpatine in this is going to speak in the Senate on Amidala's behalf. This is where we're going to get something even more interesting. We're going to get a Palpatine speech that is a little bit like the one you get in Revenge of the Sith when he does the big dramatic reveal. Hang on, I can do this properly. Hang on. Yeah. For a safe and secure society. That whole speech. He delivers a speech like that to the Senate, essentially saying, Naboo needs your help. This is the only link we have left to the current queen that had been elected. And at this point, she's on the run from a bunch of killer robots who have basically, she states very quickly, are trying to kill her. This is going to happen. At which point, the Senate all gets up in arms and starts going, yeah, this will be great, yes, let's send out Republic forces and kick some ass. Great, amazing, fun. Then, the Supreme Chancellor of Valorum, who of course is played by General Zod, turns around and simply says, fine, we will do this. We will send out forces to help you in the Naboo fight. However, we cannot at any point be seen to be doing it, because if we do, then this will be construed as an act of war. This isn't going to be good for anyone here at this point. The Trade Federation may be kicked off your planet, but it might start a war with the Trade Federation that we cannot afford to have. To which Palpatine then does the line of whole, well, do you know what? Maybe because this guy is too afraid to start war. Is everyone else? The Senate then starts cheering and everything else. We need Palpatine in this to be more an instrument of active change. Valorum in this even in the original, is a symbol of things staying the way they are. Palpatine is trying to be a symbol for change. This is how he gets so high up in the Republic so quickly, because of what he represents. And I want that to be more clear than ever, especially in this remake. So that's what we're going to go for. He is going to be the instrument of change, and everyone's going to be rallying behind him. Valorum has no choice at that point but to attempt to send some kind of Republic force down to Naboo. Now, we also then get, obviously, the Anakin meeting the Senate, meeting the Jedi Council, and the test that they put him through, and they do the whole, he's too old. Qui-Gon saying, the whole, do not defy the Council, not again, I shall do what I must, Obi-Wan. All that beautiful stuff that happens, that's fine. Conducting the movie. At which point, we then get that whole thing going on, and then we get this. Padme wants to go back to Naboo to help liberate her planet. She wants to go back with the Republic forces. However, she actively makes the decision to ask Qui-Gon to go back with her, because Qui-Gon wants, more than anything else at this point, to help her, and she actively wants him around. Now I need this to happen because I need both Anakin and Padme to both be attached to Qui-Gon at this point. They both need to have an emotional stake in him. Why? I'll explain in a minute. Because Qui-Gon then says, I'm not going back without Obi-Wan, so they all leave. Anakin does not go with them. That is the change. That is the biggest change. I don't want Anakin going with them. I want him to sneak on board of another ship. I want him to have them not know that he's there. For a very simple reason. They get into the palace, they start fighting, they start doing this, start doing that, as it is in the original film. The Gungans are fighting the battle droids. Padme and her group of various soldiers, including some Republic forces, not many, but a few, all come into the palace and start firing and taking out droids and trying to get to the throne room in order to stop Gunray from doing what he does. However, when they get through all of this, we then get the reveal of Maul, the fight between him, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, begins. Padme wants to stay by Qui-Gon's side. He says, no, you're not staying here while we fight this thing. That's not happening. Go. He then pushes her away. She then worries about things, doesn't know if she can be a true leader or not, starts firing, starts doing this, starts doing that. This whole thing about her trying to emulate, to try and be like her mother, it's not really happening. And all of this sort of thing. You saw the way in the beginning of the film how her mother carried herself. She carried herself with pride, with dignity, with a presence in a room that made you automatically want to, to either help her or, if you were going to take her on, you were going to take her on at full force and hold nothing back. That's how this is. That's how it always has to be. So, she doesn't know if she can be like that. She doesn't know if she can be like her mother. She doesn't know if she's going to be like in that sort of way. She's firing on droids. She's hitting them sometimes, not all the time. And then, that's when you get Anakin's reveal. While Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, and Maul are having their duel over there, these guys are all firing on the droids. Anakin, at this point, has snuck in, jumps into one of the Naboo fighters, activates it, entirely, again, once again, really much by mistake, starts firing, and then starts attacking droids. Padme then looks up and sees Anakin doing this. He looks up, he gives her like a thumbs up or a woo moment or something before it flies off. R2 is in there with him, obviously, it's very much the same as it could be. He then flies off to the space battle. That, as well, stays the same as it was. Like I said, need this in there. As they're leaving, as they're doing this, we then see, very briefly, a moment of this. We see Padme firing on this. She turns around to Panaka and says, I can't do this without Qui-Gon. To which Panaka leans down and says, you're not always going to have someone to protect you. You are a leader. You are like your mother. I have seen the way you carried yourself in the Senate between Palpatine speaking. I've seen the way you handled yourself with the Gungans. I've seen the way that you yourself have done this. When she spoke to the Gungans, because like I said, that all stayed the same. The conversation with the Gungans is the same, except it's a 9-year-old girl giving the speech. That's where a lot of this comes from. Qui-Gon smiles proudly at her for that, because frankly, at that point in time, she does become the ruler that her mother used to be. And that's where a lot of it comes from. Panaka says to her, I saw the way you handled yourself with the Gungans. I see the way you handled yourself in the Senate. I've seen the way that you just are. You are a leader. And you and that boy out there, that kid Anakin, who just flew off on that ship, are the future leaders. He will become, he will one day become a Jedi. You will one day become a leader of this planet. You are needed to do this. Padme gets up and does, you're right, starts firing. She gets more proficient. She has more power. She has more people behind her. She gets to the throne room. She declaws the Viceroy. And he is eventually arrested. Qui-Gon is still killed. At that point, however, when we do get this, Qui-Gon's funeral is the final change. And it's a small one. Because in this point, we see Anakin and Obi-Wan leave the funeral after all of that happens, after the pullback, after you see Palpatine's face looking at the flames of Qui-Gon burning. Obi-Wan and Anakin both leave that room. And they walk in and they see Padme sat near at the throne, sitting in the throne room, sat by the throne room, crying. Anakin sits beside her and they have a nice little heart-to-heart about how, Qui-Gon's the only one who believed in me, he gave me the strength to do what I needed to do, blah, blah, blah. And Anakin says, yes, he gave me the strength to do that as well. However, now that he's gone, we both now have the tools we need to move forward and be great leaders, to be great things. I will be a great Jedi. You will be a great you'll be a great queen one day if you decide to do that. You'll be just like your mother. It'll be amazing. You'll be great. She looks at him and goes, how can you be so sure? He goes, because honestly, I see nothing but greatness for you. And I know that might seem like a cheesy line, but that is a good line. That is a line to have Padme not only have that echo for her through the years, but when she and Anakin meet up again in Attack of the Clones, when he's older, when she's older, that works. That then brings it full circle to them both going, you know, we are meant to do amazing things. We're not quite there yet. Anakin is going through that thing of going like, Obi-Wan doesn't trust me. Padme's doing this whole, Palpatine doesn't trust me to do this, to do that, blah, blah, blah. It's fine. At the end of the film, Palpatine does reveal to the young Padme, you know, before this whole thing kicks off, he does reveal to her, he does say, I have been made the new Chancellor, the new Supreme Chancellor of the Republic, because I spoke out when Valorum wouldn't. They voted for me, blah, blah, blah. It's all been decided. We keep the politics on the back seat. We keep the action in the front where it needs to be. That's where Phantom Menace went wrong. That's where a lot of people agree Phantom Menace went wrong. So frankly, that's what I've eliminated. As much of the talking as I possibly could. Here's where I will always defend. The pod racing was awesome. I don't care. The lightsaber duel was awesome. I don't care. Boss Nass, Jar Jar, even Jake Lloyd, I'm sorry, I don't see where that hate for him came from at all. He's a kid. Kid actors, by their definition, are not always great. But frankly, if you're going to have a kid actor in it, at least have them try to deliver something. Anakin's entire dialogue is not boredom. Anakin's dialogue in episode 1 is lost. He is completely lost in this. If you listen to him really well on Tatooine, he is infinitely more. He is trying to be more of a host. He's trying to talk to people more. When he gets there, he's more astounded and in wonderment of everything else around him. It's great. And it's brilliant. And he's hesitant as to what to say. And all of that stuff. It's great. But anyway, that's my Randomfish rewrite on how I think Phantom Menace should have gone down if Padme had been the same age as Anakin. Was it good? Was it not? Let me know in the comments below. Give it a like, give my channel a subscription, do all the things that you love to do. And with that being said, my friends, Randomfish out.